Every creative reaches a point where they think their work isn't good enough, but they really can't explain why, and that's one of the most frustrating stages to be in because your taste is improving faster than your ability. The 12 Principles of Design, however, will give you a vocabulary for what's actually happening instead of saying something just feels off. You can finally explain what needs to change. And I think one of the biggest misconceptions in creative work is that motion graphics and design are separate skills when they're not. Motion is just simply design over time, and if the composition's weak, the typography is weak, and the hierarchy is confusing, animation won't save it. It just makes people notice the problems for longer. And today I'm going to walk through 12 principles that completely change how I approach every project. Not academically, but practically. These are the 12 things that I think about while building client work. Let's get into it. Principle 1, hierarchy. The first thing people should notice, the second thing, and the third thing. If everything's gonna scream for attention, then nothing gets attention. Every design needs a visual path. If I blur my eyes, I should immediately know where I'm supposed to look. That is hierarchy. Principle 2, contrast. Contrast isn't just black and white. It's big versus small, thick versus thin, busy versus empty, fast versus slow. Contrast creates interest because our brains naturally compare differences. Without contrast, everything just blends together. Principle 3, alignment. Good alignment should feel invisible, and bad alignment always feels uncomfortable because people can't always explain why something feels off, but tiny inconsistencies stack up. And every object should feel like it belongs somewhere intentionally. Principle 4, spacing. Most beginner work has the problem of everything being too close together or evenly spaced. Spacing will create rhythm. It gives the eye room to breathe. White space isn't empty, it's probably one of the most useful design tools that you have. Principle 5, balance. Balance isn't always symmetry. Sometimes the most interesting compositions are intentionally unbalanced, but they still feel stable. You're balancing visual weight, and one large object might equal 5 smaller ones. Principle 6, scale. Scale creates importance. Changing size changes meaning, and a giant logo becomes the primary hero of importance when a tiny corner logo should feel like a secondary graphic. Never make things bigger just because they're in empty space. Make them bigger because they're more important. Principle 7, repetition. Consistency builds trust. Repeated colors, repeated spacing, repeated typography. When everything follows the same system, the design feels intentional instead of random. Principle 8, proximity. Things that belong together stay together, and things that don't should be separated. That sounds simple, but grouping information properly makes interfaces dramatically easier to understand. Principle 9, color. Color shouldn't decorate, it should communicate. Highlight action, separate information, create emotion, support hierarchy. If every color's an accent, then really none of them are. Principle 10, typography. The font matters for emotion, but spacing matters even more. The line height, tracking, weight, size relationships. Good typography is clear and readable, but bad typography becomes the first thing people cringe at. Principle 11, simplicity. Every element has to justify its existence. If removing something improves the design, it shouldn't have been there in the first place, and oftentimes professionals don't add more than they remove things until only the important things remain. Principle 12, purpose. Who is this for? What is the reason for making it? Why do we care, and why this animation? If you can't answer why, there's a good chance that it doesn't belong.